flying, motor gliding, moving on the ridge real low, looking like a streak of lightning. If you gotta go, motor gliding. Listen to me and I'll tell you no lie. Too fast to turn, too low to climb. I got a cool machine and everybody say, whew, takes your breath away, motor gliding. Welcome back everyone to clip 11, the penultimate clip in a series of 12 clips covering a 427k competition virtual reality task flown in Condor 2. Well, I flew it in virtual reality. And I didn't fly in the competition. I flew it after that date. But on the competition date, it was 23 competitors flew and only 4 got round. So it was a difficult task, and it's a long task. I flew it later that in 2021 on my own and got round. To my great surprise, it was very difficult. Very slowly I got round, but I did get round. When I started doing these YouTube clips just recently, I thought it'd be lovely to put this one on because it's the most unusual and challenging flight. But I hadn't saved a replay file from then. But realised I could use my flight track file, which I had saved from then, to get a ghost to fly with me if I reflew the task. And the theory being that if I followed my ghost round, I should get round again. Otherwise, I wasn't sure I would make it, if I tried again. So I did that. But at turning point 4, where I knew on my original flight I had made some pretty naff decisions and got into trouble, I decided to break off from my ghost and fly on my own, go my own way, which was to carry on along the coast rather than back into the mountains in a very circuitous route inland the ghost had taken on the original flight. So here we are. We left off the last clip. I was just cleaning out the cockpit. Excuse the squeaky office chair. Where were we now? Where are we? Yeah, I was making my way along the good side of those mountains and things to keep my height up as best as possible, and then come across to these coastal mountains, which I'm now approaching at 3,200 feet, which is a pretty nice altitude. We should get some good working slopes here to help us maintain height. We're only 16 kilometers from turning point 5, which is in about our 11 o'clock position. So I'm going to go around the windward side of these hills, and again beyond them you can see smaller ones. So one way or another, and rising land facing into wind. So one way or another, I'm hoping to keep my height pretty steady. We're heading at the moment to get to turning point 5 at a height of 1,804 feet above it, which sounds okay to me, especially as I've got lift opportunities going on from these mountains and then coming back again. And then after that, we have got to head back to the big mountains to head for turning point 6, which is the last turning point, after which we should have a downwind final, whether it's a final glide, we'll see whether it's final glide or at what point we get on final glide, but it should be a pretty straight run out of the mountains back to Llewini Parc, which is the airfield that Denbigh Gliding fly from and where this virtual task was flown out of. And incidentally, just to recap, because I've mentioned previous ones, but this task was hosted by Chris Gill, who is the chief flying instructor and manager at Llewini Parc for Denbigh Gliding Club, and he now flies an Arcus M. Before that, he flew a DG1000M, and these are both gliders with pop-up motors. And he's the guy really who has done a lot of exploring and opening up the kinds of flights you can do in the hills and mountains of Wales. And he's done some great stuff. You can catch lots of his clips on YouTube. In fact, after the end of the last clip, I will try and put a link to one example I watched recently on YouTube, which reminds you just how challenging some of this can actually be in real life. So, with no more ado, let's get this clip started. Here we go. Okay, so we're bimbling along at 80 knots. This is better kind of speeds that we were doing in the earlier parts of the task, but I'm feeling quite positive now about our going between the obvious sources of strong lift. But again, we're unballasted. The winner of the competition was completed the task at 131 kph, very fast, 3 hours 15 minutes, and was carrying full water ballast
I did it at 82 kph. I wasn't rushing. I just wanted to get round, be safe and that kind of thingy. But I was unballasted. So to maintain best glide with no water ballast on board, I probably want to be doing, I'd guess, I don't know, I've looked at the figures, but let's say something like 70 knots. So I'm, as it were, slightly pushing it anyway, but nothing to worry about, I don't think. The destination height estimate has improved to sort of 1900 feet. It improved a little bit, or 950, so yeah, it's all good. So let's see how we do for lift here. You can't see it on the on a monitor screen, but it's in my VR headset. But there is a little kind of replay, rewind box that Condor pops up when you're doing a replay. It's sitting right in front of my sight line to the compass. So to look at the compass now, I'll have to raise my head and look over, or else peer around the side. So if I make some slightly odd head movements doing it, that's why. But at the moment we're on a heading of well, pretty much 240, let's call it that. And the wind is 295 at 21 knots. My arithmetic is terrible, but that should make a 55-degree difference. So 55 degrees to the right, so sort of wind coming from somewhere like there, I would say, somewhere over there. So that gives you an idea of where slopes will be working. I'm guessing that just as I get the other side of this mountain, I should probably bump into some lift as well. But to be honest, our turning point anticipated height is now 2,300, so I'm really not too bothered about just running down to the turning point. And I have actually flown this little bit of coast on some other tasks in Condor, so I'm a little bit more familiar with how these hills work when there's wind than I was for most of the task, most of this big task. And it should be okay just to move fairly swiftly down to turning point 5 and then come back and reassess things as we come back. I love the way you can lean over the side in virtual reality in a way you could never do in a real glider. That's me hitting a real physical object in the real world as I move my head in the virtual world. Six kilometers to run to the turning point. To reach it at 2,500 feet, so that's all good. Moving along at 85 knots. A little red cylinder there, it's the turning point showing on the map. And that is Neffin. Not quite sure what Neffin is. I remember this in the past. It doesn't quite seem to be that conurbation down there. It's like it's kind of a crossroads or something, isn't it? Or just a farm building. Well, we're damn close to it. Yeah, it's just so it's that little kind of farm building there or something, isn't it? I can't put my head to the right without hitting something in the real world, so it's stuck here. Yeah, I reckon. So it's kind of farm buildings pretty much. Here we go. Little red circle has turned to a green circle. It means we're out of the turning point. We're going to go around this way for some reason. This is the stuff that works so well in virtual reality, this kind of banking hard round in turns and just, you know, leaning your head out into them just like I would in real life. Love it, absolutely love it. Right, so now, race back. So we're now flying a heading of 030. That should put the wind pretty much 90 degrees to our left coming. So with that in mind, you get an idea of where the working slopes are going to be. Not entirely sure why I've chosen to detour here, whether I was just exploring and want to see what it's like coming around this headland in left. I'm not sure. I think it's perhaps a little bit unnecessary, but I was out to have fun, not to do the task as fast as possible. But I might find, yes, I wonder whether I'm going to find this line appearing now irresistible. Yeah. Because the line I'm on now, I've got a nice, more or less, into wind mountain face ahead of me and below me. And beyond that, I'm lined up to go onto some other good-looking, reasonable-looking slopes. As I head towards the mountains in the middle and far distance, which is where I've got to go to my next turning point, which is 52 kilometres away. So yeah, you see, you know, I'm sort of still going up at 2 knots as I fly along at 75 knots along this line. So I think it's quite a nice energy line. In Condor, whether it would be in real life is anybody's guess. And there's the boost as we come over this mountain face. I guess I'm pulling up here just to actually extract as much as I can of it. Let's gather our height while we may. Now steer a line for these hills to see if they'll help us maintain height while we move along to the final turning point. A lot more time to think now and reflect on the journey we've made from all the way down there somewhere, across all these various difficult points, to get into the mountains there and then break out onto this more familiar section, because as I say, I have flown this part of the coast on other Condor tasks, so it's not as strange to me, and it wasn't as strange to me even when I first flew this 427k task, as was all the stuff down towards Fishguard and the stuff along the coast, which was completely new to me. And I'm looking forward to those mountains up ahead. Judging by the mountain face we used when we were coming the other way on our way to turning point 5. Wow, nice little lift here. Wasn't expecting quite this much, but I'll enjoy it. Slow up a bit and let it give me what it's got. And again, I can't pull my map out and have a look, and my geography of Wales is not particularly good, but I think that inlet there, just beyond that little runway pointing out to sea, the little sort of shimmering strip of light, I think there might be the Menai Straits, and that might be Anglesey beyond it. And Anglesey is, well, it's an island really, I suppose. It's a portion of land that's separated from the main Welsh landmass by these Menai Straits, which is the sea, cutting through. Yeah, because as you look into the haze in the distance, it does seem to open out again, doesn't it? Like the sea opens out again. So I think this is the Menai Straits. That's my guess, anyway. There's a lovely part of the world, Wales. If you're watching this in some other part of the world and are thinking of coming to the UK, it's worth trying to take Wales in, really. There's some lovely parts to it. Oh, hello, what's this? Good Lord. Ha-ha! That is my ghost, ladies and gentlemen. 7 or so kilometres away and just coming out of the mountains, not quite by the route that I took. Curiously, I wonder what they did. So we did much better going up the coast from turning point 4 at Aberystwyth rather than back into the mountains like they did, because they're on their way now down to turning point 5 and we're well past it and shooting up turning point 6. So rather pleased with myself. I felt very pleased with myself at this point, because I thought good decision to just leave them behind and fly a bit of this task like it was a new task, and it's worked out rather well. So here they are. I wonder how close in they'll come before they disappear past my tail, because they'll have to do that. Still closing a bit. Oh, hello, ghost. Amazing. Can't make them out past the actual lettering that Condor puts on as their identification. They're not getting a lot closer now. They're starting to hit the limit of how close they'll get. We'll try and look around the tail, see whether we can make out the glider itself at some point. It's not going to get much closer now, I think, before it starts wandering away. Still, it's pretty close. might be me doing a bit of... Oh, no, I'm taking up to the left here. Yeah, well, see you, Ghosty. See you back at Llewini Parc. Yeah, no. That's it. Off we go. Right, let's get back to flying. So what am I doing here? Doing 80 knots. Keeping slightly to the left of... well, not left of track, but I mean... Oh, right, okay, this clip ends here. So we're obviously racing on into these mountains. Not a lot to say, really. It's all looking pretty good up ahead, isn't it? Because where are we... Yeah, we're going kind of northeast. So again, the wind is pretty much coming from the port wing, 90 degrees to our left. You can see lots of opportunities to be on windward slopes and get lift as we head for turning point 6. So let's leave this one here. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you did. If I've worked out how to put the notification bell on the screen by the time I publish this, click that to get notified of future stuff. And yeah, thank you for watching. Look after yourselves as I take the visor off. It's going to look like I'm bailing out of the glider. I say this every time, but I never know whether this might be the first clip anybody's watched. So it's needed by way of explanation. Right, okay, bye for now.